Happy Friday to you. I'm meteorologist Justin Gehrts, and thanks for joining us here on the 10 Weather Impact Show. A lot of active weather coming up over the next few days around here. Of course, we have some rain falling, and that's leading to the concern of some perhaps localized flash flooding as we go into the evening and overnight hours in those areas that happen to have more rain than elsewhere. Also, a later update from the Storm Prediction Center tomorrow. Eastern portions of Ohio have a level 1 out of 5 severe weather risk. And then as we just look at the weekend in general, it is a holiday weekend, so a lot of folks wondering when the best time is to actually get out and do some things. We'll hop right to it here. Flood watch is in effect for much of central and southern Ohio through the late night hours, as we are going to be seeing some of those areas of steady and at times heavy rain. Something to keep in mind is the fact that we've had some of those recent areas of heavy rain recently, and so the soil is fairly saturated. So again, southeastern half of Ohio, generally speaking, is under that flood watch again through late Friday night. Looks like the farther south and east we are, the better your chances of seeing potentially some of those more notable rises on creeks and streams. Here's a look at radar as of just after 2 p.m. on Friday. We'll zoom in here and show some of these bands of rain lifting north. This one has been coming out of the Columbus metro, moving up toward Delaware. Marysville, we haven't had much yet, but you're going to see some shower activity coming in here. Mount Vernon down toward Newark. This steadier rain is lifting north here this afternoon. Backing off toward the east. Here we see some of the steadier rain that's been coming down for a while, actually, from Zanesville down to McConnellsville and Cambridge. And then back off toward the south and west, we can see the bigger area of steady rain that extends down into northern Kentucky, sliding northward. So, if you haven't had much yet, if anything, well, there is rain coming. It's just a matter of time. We've had some of that easterly wind going on that's been drying things a little bit, but it's really going to be a situation where things do change before too long. Get out of the way here and show you the rainfall totals already so far. Dublin about 1/3 of an inch. Zanesville already a 1/2 inch of rain, about 3/10 in Athens. So some of us are well on our way to that 1 to 2 inch range that many of us should end up with. In fact, here is that rainfall forecast through tomorrow morning, and it looks like most of the steady rain is going to be wrapping up before sunrise tomorrow. A lot of us are going to end up with around 1 inch to 2 inches of rain. Best chance of seeing some of the locally higher totals over 2 inches is going to be southeast of Interstate 71. So that'll be a thing that in those areas you want to be especially mindful of. In fact, there is an excessive rainfall outlook across eastern Ohio and central Ohio. Areas in yellow, that's where that most light or level 2 out of 4 risk is. And I was looking at some information earlier. It would take about 2 inches of rain in 6 hours to cause flash flooding across most of the region. So some of us are going to be pushing that number. Now, it's not going to be widespread or anything like that, but if you are going to be out driving, doing any camping in the late evening or early overnight hours, that'll be a thing you want to be aware of. So the 10 weather impact alert is for that steady rain, heavy at times through tonight. This does include the afternoon commute for us. There are going to be some slowdowns. Make sure you have the headlights on so other people can see you driving more easily, and leave more space between you and other vehicles just because the roads are going to be slick. Don't want to have any issues because people are following too closely. As I mentioned, with it being the holiday weekend, some folks may be camping already tonight. If you are doing that and you're going to be in an area near any creeks or streams, do be weather aware. Have multiple ways of getting weather information. Do not rely just on your cell phone. As we know, some areas can have spotty, if even any cell phone service. For example, the Hocking Hills area is one of those areas where cell service is extremely limited in some places. So weather radio would be a good idea just in case where you are happens to go under a flash flood warning. Fingers crossed we avoid that, but there is the possibility for some of those creeks and streams to rise out of their banks later this evening into the night. All right, so we have that soaking rain coming up for the remainder of the day into tonight. It is not a full weekend washout. There will be dry hours in there, I can promise you that. We also have warming temperatures and more humid weather coming in as well. All right, so here's your hour-by-hour forecast. Watching those areas of rain slowly spreading northward. Here's 5 p.m. It is going to be a wet drive home for the long weekend. 9 p.m., yep. Evening is still going to be pretty sopping wet out there. Now, there may be some lulls periodically, but the steadier rain doesn't wrap up until probably 3, 4 in the morning, the way things are looking. Here's 8 a.m. Saturday, mainly cloudy skies, maybe a couple of showers during the morning toward the midday. Here's noon on Saturday. Yes, some spotty rain is a possibility, but most of us aren't going to see much at that point. We are going to be watching later in the afternoon into the evening as a front makes its way across the area. Here's 6 p.m. Notice what looks to be a little line of a few thunderstorms possibly. I'll tell you more about that in just a moment. That gets out of here later in the evening. Then for Sunday, looks like not much happening most of the day, but there could be a spotty shower or storm, primarily again later in the afternoon into the evening. Latest outlook from the Storm Prediction Center does include southeastern Ohio in a level 1 out of 5 severe weather risk. If anything were to turn strong, it would actually be the potential for funnel clouds or a brief weak tornado potentially. The ingredients are very borderline, but they are going to be there, so that'll be something we watch for between now and tomorrow. All right, so rain becomes more widespread throughout the afternoon. 62 optimistically for a high, but it may be a struggle to get there, I'm afraid. We will be warmer on Saturday, though. Highs around 76 degrees, 80 on Sunday, 80 on Memorial Day. Notice those rain chances gradually come down as well. We will see just maybe an off chance of a shower on Memorial Day itself, and then we'll continue that off chance of a shower on Tuesday. Otherwise, plan for highs in the lower 80s, lows in the 60s, a sign of the somewhat more muggy air that is moving back into the area. This holiday weekend does coincide with a huge cultural celebration. More than 100,000 people are set to come to Columbus to enjoy the Asian Festival at Franklin Park. 10 TV's Brianna Albizu is getting us all ready for the traffic and parking that may affect you if you're heading out to Genoa Park.
Yeah, the roads will be jam-packed over in downtown Columbus. We're talking by Franklin Park, which is just along that East Broad Street area. On Saturday, the festival will kick off from 10 to 8 p.m. and then Sunday it will be 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. So take a look here. When it comes to overall parking, it is free for the festival, but here's some things to keep in mind. You cannot park on any side streets around the park. You will be ticketed or even towed. We don't want that for you. Of course, no parking on the grass as well. I think the best option is going to be those shuttle services. We do have lots around the park. That includes that OSU Medical East area, the East High School spot, and the Columbus City Prep School for Girls, which is just southwest of that park out there. And keep in mind, when it comes to services, they will be 1 hour before and 1 hour after the fest, so make sure to plan ahead and, of course, be safe. Back to you.
All right, thanks, Bree. And new details this afternoon. We now know the name of a woman who died after falling at Hocking Hills State Park. Coroner says 63-year-old Nancy Baker from Iowa died Wednesday afternoon. Officials say she was found along Cantwell Cliffs in the northern part of Hocking Hills. ODNR says this trail is difficult with steep cliffs and rugged terrain. Officials have not released how the fall happened. And while you might think a simple trip to a park is harmless, the executive director of Columbus Metro Parks, Tim Maloney, says you really should have a plan in place, especially as we head into the holiday weekend. 10 TV reached out to get some hiking safety tips, and here's what he told us.
Have the ranger cell phone number. We have one phone number, gets a hold of our rangers throughout the district. And sure, maybe it's not an emergency. Maybe I'm a little lost. Maybe my keys are locked in my car. Maybe I can't find one of my hiking partners. But our rangers are always here to help out and lend a hand when needed. You know, some of the things you always want to have. Access to communication. It's great to have a cell phone. But in some parts of our parks or parks throughout the state, cell phone coverage is a little bit spotty. So really plan ahead for that. Let somebody know where you're going. So if I know I'm going to Clear Creek, which is one of our parks down in southern Ohio, I would let my family know, hey, I'm going to do this trail and I'm planning on getting there at 2 o'clock and I should be off by 2:30 where I give you a call. It's really all in that plan.
Maloney says another thing you might want to do is wear long sleeves and pants and keep bug spray to keep those ticks away. And turning now to a community story as we head into the long holiday weekend. A massive attraction at COSI is sticking around as we head into summer. COSI just announced it is extending its popular interactive exhibition, The Science Behind Pixar, all the way through September. Meteorologist Meredith Garfala went to the museum to see how they're keeping the learning fun all summer long.
Hey everybody, it is time for our monthly COSI segment about STEM. Joe Wood is back with us. And
Hello.
Joe, we've got some exciting news for people this summer when it comes to the Pixar exhibit.
That's right. We've extended the run of the Science Behind Pixar.
Woo-hoo.
It's now here at COSI until Labor Day, so you got the summer to come here and experience all of our friends like Dory here.
I love Dory, and last time we took you through a big chunk of it, but today we want to focus on two things that we kind of rushed through at the end. We want to talk about some techie things such as rendering and lighting, which being in TV, I know the importance of lighting.
Oh yeah, it's a huge exhibit, so we only showed you a little bit last time. So now we're going to do this demonstration of lighting. It's kind of like a photo op and an interactive. So now we've got red light. So even though these are virtual spaces, there's still lighting, and the lighting that you're doing is gonna be very important for the scene. So different lighting can evoke different emotions. But here, when you have a blue ocean, a blue character, and a blue person, the lighting can really make it.
Can you see me or no?
I think you're kind of turning invisible on the camera.
Oh my goodness,
So
wow.
we could do a lot of interesting things and learn about how the Pixar animators use lighting. But then at the end of the process, which this is towards the end, but at the very end of the process, we can go to rendering over here.
All right, let's check that out. Now, what is rendering for people that may not be familiar with the techie terms?
Yeah, so this is kind of what's going on with the computers. So for the animation for these Pixar films, they've built a three-dimensional world.
Wow.
But you have to take that and make it now into a two-dimensional movie. So that's where the rendering comes into play. Now, in this display, you can change the complexity of these characters. And I just love this because it's showing you what is happening in the computer, but it's using real toys. So that's like kind of a, you know, Temu.com Lightning McQueen there. But if you turn it all the way to high complexity, this is in front of the camera, it's in the foreground.
Interesting.
So it needs to look really good. But way back here, Chick Hicks there, no matter which one you turn it to, you really can't tell the difference. So this is, again, happening in the computer.
Wow.
But it's the same thing as in a traditional film if you were painting sets. And something that's way in the background is maybe something you don't have to put as much attention to detail into. And it can take hours and hours and hours to render a single frame. And again, by render, I mean where the computers are taking the footage and making it into a two-dimensional still.
That's really interesting. And we'll end really quickly with this exhibit right over here, this part of it. Just going to show you how many really cool things you can see within the different exhibits at COSI. And you're learning about science, Joe, which is really fun. The different ways that STEM makes the movies that we love and our kids love come to life.
We just showed you two things, but there's a lot more to see. So get your tickets online at cosi.org.
All right. Thanks, Joe. We'll see you next month.
Now more on the ongoing drought and fire threats around the nation. While we're dealing with the potential for localized flooding, some are preparing for no rain at all. Here's what the governor of Utah said as he declared a state of emergency for the state.
We are coming off a winter that was the warmest on record by nearly 3 degrees. Unfortunately, these above normal temperatures are expected to continue through the summer.
And in North Carolina, an ongoing drought in the area has made water levels about 4 feet lower than normal on Lake Norman north of Charlotte. While normal boating routes in the channels are still safe, the water along the shores is much lower. That could cause problems for some boats. A nearby boat club says they've already seen cases of boaters running into shallow waters they were not prepared for. And the pattern continues in Nevada, that's where fire leaders met in Carson City to cover this summer's peak fire season. Several factors are going to make it tough for firefighters. Last year was the heaviest of the last 5 with over 450,000 charred acres. Authorities say 95% of those fires were put out within a day, with a lot of Nevada consisting of flammable sagebrush and other dry vegetation. Fire crews working together is of the utmost importance, and as Memorial Day approaches, fire officials warn the easiest fire to put out is one that doesn't even ignite in the first place. And in Kansas, parts of the southwest of the state are dealing with massive wildfires. That includes the Mead Lake Complex fire, which has scorched more than 92,000 acres. Kate Devine reports.
Thousands of acres destroyed by fire. But in the middle of the devastation, help started pouring into southwest Kansas from all over the country.
It was great. You know, we were tired and they showed up about the right time to start giving us relief.
Assistant Meade Fire Chief Steve Salyer and Meade Fire Chief Jeff Lathan say local crews were running on little to no sleep after dry lightning sparked multiple fires last Thursday.
We worked pretty much through the night.
Lathan says firefighters from all across Kansas and states like Oregon, Idaho, Wyoming, Colorado, and Montana eventually made their way to Meade County. The most resources they say they've ever seen come in because of a wildfire. Among those resources was Rich Daniel, stepping foot into Kansas for the first time just to help out.
Today was my first day here. I come from Oregon. They flew us in to help with the management of the fire.
Daniel traveled from Salem, Oregon to help with the Mead Complex fire. He says even after just arriving, the gratitude and hospitality from people in Kansas was immediate.
Yeah, there were a couple homeowners that came up to us just telling us thank you. They appreciate our help, that they know that not a lot of people can do that.
Once we got the relief help in, then that made it where we could start actually putting fire out.
Through it all, people in Meade County, like Jamie Post, who lost her house in the fires, say they'll never forget crews who showed up to help.
The miracle out here is our volunteer fire department went above and beyond keeping us all safe, for the amount of damage and as hot as that fire was and as fast as it spread. It was just a miracle. But those guys, until they got help, they stood their ground.
And while Salyer and Lathan say it's a miracle no one was killed or seriously injured, there's still heartbreak for the homes and land that just couldn't be saved.
Well, we had wins, but when you lose something, that still bothers you that you couldn't save everything.
All right, finally today, let's check out new video into 10 TV. First up, a Stonehenge-inspired experiment is taking shape in England. Archaeologists have spent 8 months building a massive Neolithic-style hall using only the kinds of tools available about 4,000 years ago. They're looking to better understand how people pulled off giant construction projects back then. Researchers say the hands-on work could unlock new clues about how Stonehenge was built. More than 100 volunteers are building the hall, which sits about 2 miles from Stonehenge and opens to visitors next month. And some good news to wrap up the show on this Friday. The Humane Society for Southwest Washington welcomed 24 puppies and young dogs flown in from an overcrowded California shelter, throughout California shelters on Tuesday. The animals arrived through a Wings of Rescue plane, with shelter officials saying the dogs will spend a few days in care before becoming available for adoption. So if you know somebody out there who needs a puppy, give them a call and help these pups find a forever home. All right, well, I have a feeling any dogs in central Ohio are not going to be wanting to go for any walks as we go throughout the afternoon and evening, unless, of course, they enjoy the rain. But certainly it is going to be a wet one for us as we have those areas of rain persisting throughout the afternoon into the evening, gradually wrapping up late tonight. Many of us pick up 1 to 2 inches of rain, maybe some locally higher amounts. And if those localized numbers where you live happen to be over 2 inches, do be on the lookout for some creeks and streams that come out of their banks, because that's about the threshold it'll take with this particular rain event, given the recent saturated soil we have so far. Most of the weekend we'll have drier weather coming up. There'll be some periods of rain and a few storms off and on tomorrow, particularly later in the afternoon and early evening. Looks like lesser chances on Sunday, but if that does happen, it would be mainly, again, late afternoon, early evening. Then on Memorial Day itself, only a slight chance of a passing shower here or there. So conditions will improve after the overnight hours tonight, but you'll still want to keep an eye on the weather just in case you do have any outdoor plans that would bump into some of those areas of rain and a couple of thunderstorms. Also going to be watching temperatures to warm up closer to 80 or so for Sunday into Monday and throughout next week as well. All right, well, thanks for joining us here with this weather update on 10 TV Plus. Coming up at 4 o'clock, Chief Meteorologist Chris Tomer is here to give you all the latest weather updates and track the rain throughout the holiday weekend. In the meantime, have a good one.